looking forward to making sure that as historians, people know history, but they also know how to use history to affect the future, to make sure that our republic remains strong and our nation remains strong. Once again, my name is Dr. Tim Wesley, the historian of the Republic Party of Texas, and God bless Texas and bless the United States of America. Thank you.
We will now hear from our RNC National Committee man, Dr. Robin Arnold.
Dr. West, I like that. We have to get you, I have to get your number, we get you to come and talk in our area too. That's awesome. I think it is very cool to be a black Republican. Very cool. What do y'all think? You better clap for that, bro. So hey, our nation is under attack right now. We're under attack by a culture and a way of thinking that is not American. The COVID pandemic and the way it's been used by the left this past year and a half certainly illustrates that and sort of puts a division in the way that we think and in the way that the Democrat Party thinks. Government overreach, unconstitutional lockdowns, forced vaccinations, big tech censorship, bureaucratic overreach, and the use of science and medicine to push their narrative. And that's a big change. They've done those other things before, but the use of science and medicine is a big change, and I think it's a very dangerous change. Medicine and science has been one of the respected institutions in our nation. It really has been sort of been separate from politics for a long time, unless it's used by the Nazis, and they obviously were used it negatively. But science and medicine in the U.S. has been one of the more respected institutions. You make a hypothesis, investigate, study, find a solution and an answer to the problem. But we have respected peer journals now. Many of you may not know this. The New England Journal of Medicine and the Lancet are two of the most respected journals in this country. And so basically, they present information to us physicians, and we basically treat patients according to their findings. And so we had Lancet put out an article that was completely used bogus data, and they had to pull the article. And that is a significant change when we start using science to advance the political narrative. The Democrat socialist media are pushing that narrative, and now they're creating scientific data to support that narrative. So one thing that we're going to have to do is defy the narrative. Defy the narrative every opportunity we get. And one of the goals of this organization has to be strong, and to get stronger and stronger and stronger to begin to define the narrative. So it's not going to be enough to just defy the narrative. Why we got to fight? You're defining it when you're playing defense. Like you're playing defense a lot now. What we have to do is start really working hard, organizing ourselves, focusing on the task ahead, so we can start defining the narrative. That's going to be extremely important. How do we do that? Remember that people believe the lie, and facts don't matter a lot of times. The truth doesn't matter, because people don't listen to that. We're worshiping a theology of climate change, a theology of critical race theory. These are actually religions. They're not actually just ideas. So when we're engaging those who disagree with us, we have to appeal to them spiritually, which is vitally important, and would reach a lot of minority groups. Or we must appeal to their own self-interest, which is either economic interest or health interest. Two of the issues that consistently rank highest among the American people are the economy and healthcare. The economy and healthcare. We've got to make sure that we have a message for the economy and that we have a message for healthcare. The National Democrat plans are to silence any dissent through ridicule, criticism, name-calling. They're going to create a permanent Democrat majority for bills like H.R. 1 and S.R. 1. They're going to be voting on the Senate soon on S.R. 1, which is a bill that would eliminate all voter ID laws, mandate ballot harvesting, mandate comprehensive mail-in balloting. Their Democrat bills will make it easier to vote and easier to cheat. They want to change our culture from one of individual rights and responsibilities responsibilities to a Marxist culture of grievances, where one racial group is pitted against the other. But we're not going to let them do that, right? We're not going to let them do that. So we have to fight spiritually and pray and organize and make sure we're doing the things necessary to produce our message so that we can not only defy the narrative, but also define the narrative. RNC activity that's taking place, election integrity, we talked a lot about that. Dion, I don't know where you are. Where are you? I don't think she's here. That was a great report that you gave. It was fantastic. So the RPT is really hooked into election integrity. The RNC is as well, really focusing on election integrity. It's a big issue. I get long results. One thing, long results of different election integrity bills all over the country. We picked up 135 legislative seats nationally in this last election, 135. So we've actually been able to pass laws all over the country dealing with election integrity so that we don't see what happened in 2020 happen again. There's a redistricting focus as well amongst the RNC. Democrats, Barack Obama and Eric Holder, many years ago raised $500 million to focus on redistricting nationally. This is a point of focus for them. So now it's a point of focus for the RNC as well. We actually have established the National Redistricting Trust, which is the first time that our national party has ever done that, to focus on redistricting. So we are watching legislative sessions all over the country, redrawing those lines. We should pick up at least 10 seats just by redistricting. And so we have to make sure that our legislators draw those lines right and make sure that we pick up 2 new Republican seats here in Texas. And so that's going to be important. So we're raising money to get that done and making sure that we focus on redistricting all over the country. Temporary committees that are formed at the RNC level, the Grassroots Club that is formed to help organize and bring in keep those Trump voters, make those guys Republican voters, because they're not necessarily all the same thing. Grassroots Club, which actually Tony Ann is chairing not Grassroots Club, sorry, the Grassroots Committee on RNC. Tony Ann is chairing that. We have an election integrity committee as well that is working extremely hard. Going to be working a lot with the RPT's election integrity, working a lot with election integrity groups all over the country. There's a group that I sit on the call with that's some national folks who are focused on killing SR1 and HR1 and all these bills that are coming out from the Democrat House, from the Democrat Congress. And so we're working hard on that. That's going to continue. There's a presidential nominating working group that's being formed as well. I'm actually going to be a part of that. We're going to talk about the presidential nominating process going forward. So that's another committee that started. We have an election. We're going to be electing our site selection committee as well. Our next meeting is in August the 11th through the 13th. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. We will be electing a site selection committee. That's going to be important. The last site selection committee was very partial towards San Antonio, but the crazy council there and mayor actually kind of scared them away. And so y'all need to replace your city council in San Antonio. We might get the national convention. And so, because they were definitely leaning towards San Antonio until your crazy city council mayor got involved. And so that's something to take up on the local level. So guys, I really appreciate all of you. Thank you for the hard work that you do. We're going to keep fighting a good fight, and we're going to win because God's on our side and because we're right. Thank you, Jeremy.
We have our National Committee woman, Tony Ann DeShield, by video.
A president who promised to bring us together should not be pushing agendas that tear us apart. Our best future will not come from Washington schemes or socialist dreams. It will come from you, the American people. We are not adversaries. We are family. I'm confident that our finest hour is yet to come.
The Republican National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Well, once again, I'm unable to be with you in person. My family situation. But I know that I can be here in the recording, and I'm trying something new. I want to show you my PowerPoint that has to do with the RNC. So let me take a minute and get this up and running, and so that I can share with you the things that are going on with the RNC. And I'm really proud to say that we're doing so much since the beginning. Love this first part, always like giving you that update on the money, 12.2 million. In April, the cycle has been 57.6 million. Cash on hand, 90.5 million. But that bottom line, I love that bottom line, our debt is zero. What I wanted to do is share some of the things that legally we're doing. Some people saying RNC is not doing much. Well, we now have a committee of attorneys in the council office that is focusing on lawsuits, that is focusing and engaging in the activities of election integrity. They had 6 lawsuits back in April, and they were in Iowa, Georgia, and a number of others. The month of May, they had a lawsuit that they were working on in Florida. They are engaging. They are really staying on top of it. They end up giving us information. In fact, they give this report that summarizes what's going on in all these states, tracking, pending rulemaking, list of pending litigation. But the bottom line here, what you're seeing is the talking points that they're using that we can use. And if you're interested in those talking points, I'd be more than happy to send them to you. You email me and ask me, because they want you to have what is currently in progress, what we're working on, and that you can share that story. I want to talk about our Election Integrity Committee, which has, they're dedicated, as you can see here, I've highlighted some words, restoring the elections. They want transparency. They want to ensure voters that we are having fair elections, that the legal people are voting, not the illegal ones. And they have gone out to the different states, and they are gathering information so that they can make recommendations to state parties for the best practices. They've been working really hard. I think they're getting close to coming up with a report. You know, they want to make sure that there is faith in our election process. And they are working very hard. Some of the people here in Texas have even testified in these different committees. So, you know, we do things really well here in Texas. That's why they want that information. Then the Grassroots Advisory Committee. This is another new committee that's going on with the RNC. This is where we want to energize. We want to support well-trained and educated conservative activists. We want to build manuals. You can see that we have 3 subcommittees. So we want training, we want manuals. That's our resource committee. Pam Pollard from Oklahoma, which many of you probably know, doing an incredible job as that chair of that subcommittee. Outreach, we're going out to those coalitions. How many of them, new ones, were founded under the Trump administration? We want to engage with them, let them know that the RNC values their information and how can we help each other. Recruitment, it's not about recruiting candidates. Ultimately, that might end up in that way, but this is recruiting volunteers. How are we reaching out? How can we get more engaged with the younger people, with people on social media? So they're working in many different aspects of how we can improve on that, and the recommendations our Grassroots Advisory Committee will be giving. And one last thing about this advisory committee, I've been honored to be the chair of that. I think I've shared that before, but man, I've got a great committee that I'm working with, and are really producing some incredible information that I think you're going to be able to use. I want you to stay connected. I want you, as you see here, the representative, J.C. Jaton, was one of our speakers speakers on our call to action calls on Friday morning at 7 a.m. And I know many of you are out there that you have participated. Let's stay connected. Go to TonyAnnDeShield.com. You can sign up for my newsletter or share it with people. I'm trying to give talking points from the RNC so that you know what we're doing on the national level. Could join in on our calls. Now, of course, that was during the session, but we are going to continue them. You'll be getting further information about that here in the future. Now, we have special sessions, whenever that might be, then we will continue that weekly. But we will have call to action calls, just not sure all the details of that right at the moment. If you have any questions, you want any talking points of anything in particular, there's my email, tabxcat@TonyAnnDeShield.com, or you're always welcome to call me, 210-467-2526. Thank you all for everything that you do. Really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that the rest of your meeting is a success. Let's get a lot of business done. Thank you so much.
Now call upon our state vice chair, Ken Carls, for the state vice chair's report.
Thank you, Chairman. Brandon's gonna help me get this set up, and I'm gonna move down here. Can y'all see me okay in back? We're good. All right. Well, for those of you who are attending SRAC meeting for the first time, welcome. And the thing I like to start with every single time is iron sharpens iron. It's from Proverbs. And I've said many times as I travel all across the state, the Republican Party of Texas, it's not about the chairman, it's not about the vice chair. It's about every single one of you who are out here and the difference that you all can make. And I truly believe that one person can make a difference. Let's go ahead and address the 64,000-pound elephant in the room. We all received some surprising news this morning that Chairman West is going to be leaving us on July 11th. And we wish him time during his prayer time to make his decision for his next step. What I would like to say, for whomever it is that ends up stepping up to run as our next chair, and I have decisions and conversations to have with my family at the end of this meeting, as this was unexpected to me as it was to many of you, I will demand one thing from the future chair, and that is Republicans believe in transparency. And in past years of the SREC, we were able to see numbers on the screen, we were able to have legal reports filed with us, and that is something that every single one of us needs to have easy access to, not just through a phone call to an individual offline and behind the scenes. We are the party of transparency, and that is what we deserve. It's time to start asking some hard questions, and it's time to give some answers as well. So I want to share with you a website that I set up to answer some of those questions. If you all were to visit catcarsfortexas.com, and I will happily work with Marie Strouder, who's our digital person, to add these links to the Republican Party of Texas website so they're easier for everyone to find. We created an action center to work on and to make available to you the initiatives that I've been in charge of over the last year that I served as your vice chair. Of course, many of you know I was in charge of candidate recruitment for the 2 years preceding this. Running for office this year is a little bit different, with redistricting lines not being drawn until the fall. So while we're starting to see some early candidates make announcements, many candidates are waiting in the wings until they have more information with which to make their decisions. When I was in charge of candidate recruitment, I spoke personally with over 1,000 candidates who had an interest in running. And I just want to share all of you who live in those blue areas. Candidate recruitment is one of the most effective ways that we can do outreach into communities. Because as we all know, time is limited, resources are limited, and every time we send a conservative to run and have a strong message into those communities, it helps get our Republican message out to areas that we may not have reached otherwise. What I want you to specifically look at here today, you may not be aware of, I led a campaign to do 35 campaign schools across the state of Texas. We realized that the number one barrier to people running for office is lack of education on how to run for office, or how to help with the campaign. And in fact, Mr. Lopez and I became acquainted for the first time, or as a RAC member, as he was looking to get involved in helping with the campaign. He was instrumental in doing that. And so if you click on his campaign schools link, take you all to visit, maybe, there we go. It will take you to this website that will provide you with access to the Leadership Institute workshops that we're hosting around the entire state. Those workshops are being held in conjunction with TFRW, the TRCCA, the Texas YRs, and Texans for Great Habit. And our internet connection might be just a little bit slow, but those direct links are right in there. They're held all across the state. And so how many of you are hosting or helping host one of the schools? If you raise your hands out here, let's please give them a round of applause. This is a lot of work. So if we come back, here, I want to let you know about another opportunity that we're offering for the first time. As I travel around the state, people frequently tell us our youth aren't getting a conservative message. Y'all, we have extended the deadline. We are offering a youth leadership summit. Deadline is going to be June 15th. All of the applications and the flyers are there. You might know this young lady, especially up here in this part of the woods. Any of y'all know Christy Anstitt? She's not going to be here with us today, but she'll be here tomorrow. And so please consider sponsoring a child. We're looking at upper level high school, lower level college, and empowering them with the information, the messaging, the content that they need to go back into their communities and start their high school clubs. And I want to give a big thank you to Marion Stanko, our SRAC committee woman, who talked to me about her personal experience in high school that she knew, who had initially started high school Republican clubs all around the state. And so thank you, Marion, for that. Back to the Action Center, emerging leaders. I'm going to invite at the very end of my speaking. Chaplain Stoggle's going to join to speak about an initiative that I think was absolutely phenomenally done, and I'm very excited about. Operation Wrangler. We need precinct chairs, guys. Do you know that there are 600 fewer precinct chairs in the Republican Party of Texas than there are in the Democrat Party of Texas? We have work to do. And finally, I'd like to highlight the Lone Star Award. This is something that's very special in my heart. It goes out if you get my newsletter. And I would like, first of all, to join us up here, or at least to stand. Marion Stanko was nominated by her committee man, Fred Rangel. And I would just like to read what he wrote, and we could write a volume on what she's done for this party over a lifetime. I want to recognize these individuals because they inspire me because of the paths they've laid, because of the things that they've done to help the conservative movement. But Marion, she goes beyond the call of duty because of her unwavering passion for our party. She's a valuable leader, and there's almost no position that she's not held, nor any work that she's not done. She's a former executive director of Bexar County. She's currently a committee woman for Senatorial District 26. She's a precinct chair. She's currently a member of multiple Republican organizations. She's authored manuals, made presentations statewide, district leadership, candidates, grassroots volunteers. She's had extensive involvement with voter registration and working on campaigns for an array of candidates for offices at all levels. She helped us with candidate recruitment. She attended being a delegate, an alternate delegate. Y'all, this woman is incredible. And so will you please join me in offering her a round of applause? Please stand. Oh, who did you babysit for?
Oh, a whole bunch of kids.
A bunch of candidates. She raised them into the Republican Party. But finally, I would like to invite a couple of special guests. Michelle and Stan and Brandon, if you're here. Michelle, if y'all can come up and please join me. This is something that's very special. I know our party has chosen to put our focus on legislative priorities. And I said, hey, this is Texas, y'all. We handle legislative priorities and bigger priorities that improve the lives of Republicans. And I would just like to read this, and I'd like to give Michelle an opportunity to speak. I think it's a very personal experience that will change the lives of others in spite of tragedy. So Stan and Michelle Brandon are just a mom and a dad dedicated to making something good, not something bad. In 2017, Will Brandon and two of his friends were electrocuted in a power line accident. The master of their sailboat contacted a poorly maintained 12 kilovolt power transmission line that was 12 feet below standards established by the Public Utility Commission of Texas, and now the National Electric Safety Code. So in 2019, the families of the deceased boys worked together with legislators, state officials, and industry stakeholders to pass Texas HB 4150, later named the William Thomas Lee Power Line Safety Act. In light of such tragedy, they sought to do something that would protect others and bring about very meaningful legislation. And so I would just like to give Michelle the opportunity to speak to us for a moment and to please speak her heart to us.
Thank you, Kat. We are very honored for this recognition and of our efforts. We couldn't do this alone. I'd also like to have Senator Hughes join us real quick because he's as much as part of the story as we are. I would like to thank Ronnie Anderson for nominating us. She's been an inspiration and mentor in our new journey as political advocates. August 5th, 2017 is a day which I think changed my family forever, when our son was electrocuted by a dangerously low, out of compliance, and unmaintained power transmission line. So many people came up to us since that accident and said the exact same thing. I've been on that lake. I knew that line was low. Why didn't someone do something? Then we learned that the same tragedy had happened years before on the same lake, owned by the same federal agency with the same transmission line, still operated by the same company. We asked ourselves, why didn't somebody do something to prevent this from happening again? So after we buried our son, we started asking questions and researching, and then as Kat explained, we found nothing. There were no programs regarding public safety or conducting line inspections required by the Public Utility Commission. And again, people said to us, this is unbelievable. There should be a law. Why doesn't somebody do something? So let's put aside our personal grief to do something. February 5th, 2019 was the first day of our education in Texas politics. And it was the day we found out that Representative Chris Patty and Senator Brian Hughes were going to file a bill to make utilities more accountable to the public. Now, setting a law is needed is deceptively easy. Getting one passed is one of the most frustrating processes we have ever experienced. At every step, there are roadblocks and people wanting to change or use your cause for their interest. Yet we persevered. We made 6 trips to Austin that spring, spending many days walking the halls of the Capitol, visiting every office of every senator and representative, testifying before the full House and Senate committees, reliving the horror of our child's untimely death to educate our elected officials about why House Bill 4150 needed to become law. Finally, House Bill 4150 became the William Thomas Lee Power Line Act. That's the 3 names of the 3 boys, and it is also not a coincidence that it spells WTH. So, but our work was not over. We soon learned that our continued perseverance was necessary to push this act through Public Utility Commission rulemaking and implementation. We are now regular participants and self-proclaimed watchdogs of the Public Utility Commission, accountability, oversight, and enforcement of the electric utility industry. We had hoped that no parent would ever have to live our grief, that no other person would die from the deadly combination of power lines and recreational lakes. But we were wrong. We woke this morning to news of another power line and salient tragedy in Texas. It is impossible to dismiss disbelief, grief, anger, and failure. Our sincere prayers are extended to the family and friends of Trevor King. Obviously, we have not done enough. There is more to do. We are committed to advocating for power line safety as long as there are power lines that cross our yards, our parks, our schools, and our lakes. If you're interested in continuing to follow our work, we have organized a group called the Power Line Safety Initiative, and more information can be found at our website, www.powerlinesaredangerous.com.
And with that, Chaplain, if you'd like to come and share with us the exciting emerging leaders week we had. Thank you.
The Chairman, Alan West, Vice Chair Cat Parks, SREC members, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am honored to report to you with the inspiration of our Republican Party of Texas Chairman, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, and the outstanding leadership of the Honorable Anthony Williams, Mayor of Abilene, Texas, and the Frederick Douglass Republicans of Tarrant County Inaugural Leader Seminar Committee. We had a very successful event at the Texas A&M University. Hopefully we can post some photos. University School of Law in Fort Worth, Texas, Saturday, 22 May 2021. Much thanks goes to the committee chair, the Honorable Anthony Williams, Mayor of Abilene, Texas, who raised $14,000 for the event. Committee Vice Chair, Dr. Jeffrey R. Mitchell, PhD, Amanda R., Social Media. Kay Israel's company provided balloon sculptures that you will see. Vice Chair, Cat Parks, who helped coordinate the Texas Representative James White to serve as one of our guest speakers. What was the purpose? The purpose of the event was for 18 to 45-year-olds to assemble and be educated, enlightened, and inspired to create a healthy network as they embrace becoming future leaders of the Republican Party of Texas. Mr. Chairman, please note, I'm going to ask, I think, there you go, or if you can launch that, those 5 C's if you can. Mr. Chairman, please note the committee, based on your inspiring video, that they decide unanimously to utilize your 5 C's. As we can see, I hope in the photo, it's coming. It's up. Okay, there we go, pardon me. The 5 C's in the photo here, those 5 C's that you talked about so movingly: courage, competence, conviction, commitment, and character. The committee decided to use those as our banner thing. There were about 60 people who attended the seminar. Many of them were younger people meeting our aid requests across the board. They were African Americans, they were Hispanic, they were Asians, they were white. They are Americans. They are Hispanic. We even had someone who drove from Zabato County who were having all kinds of trouble down there and came anyway. They are Americans. Some of the VIPs who attended the Emerging Leaders Seminar were State Representative James White, former Railroad Commissioner in Texas State, Secretary of Education, the Honorable Michael L. Williams, Anglican Bishop of North America, Local Diocese Ryan Reed, Tarrant County Sheriff Bill Wayborn, President and CEO of Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber, Mr. D. Jennings, Republican Party of Texas historian Dr. Tim Wesley, PhD, Dean of the Texas A&M Law School, whose son graduated from high school that day and had company from all over the country came and spoke for a few moments to us. With that concludes the brief. Thank you again, my Vice Chair, Cat Parks, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to address the SREC regarding this historical event. And we hope to have a seminar next year. And the mayor of Abilene said we want to raise $50,000 for a conference. You will be hearing more. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chaplain. And with that,
Well, I guess, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Glover, you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just have a point of information. I've had a question for Dr. Parks. I noticed that you've got a newsletter that you're sending out as vice chair, and I saw that you put a donate button at the bottom of that newsletter. Are you raising money for the RTG? Certainly. In all of my travels and things like that, we refer to the RPT website. As you know, Jill, as you have many emails go out through the RPT website, we have a donate button. How many of you receive multiple RPT donate emails every single week? Anybody feeling like they're getting shorted on emails? Okay, all right, just a second. Thank you. Just a little curious because it says donate cap part, just to say donate part. Sure, yeah, you know, of course, as you as an SRA team member are allowed to have a campaign fund, I'm also permitted to have a campaign fund as are all of our county chairmen as well. So those monies are going to your campaign fund? That is correct. And is that your campaign for vice chair? I'm sorry? Is that your campaign for vice chair? That is currently the campaign fund that I have. Thank you, Jill.
Ouch.
Well, I guess this might be the last time I stand before this esteemed body. And I want to tell you how much it's been a pleasure and honor to be here before you. It is not always about the quantity of time, it's about the quality of time. When I came into this position, we had a very daunting task, and that was the November 2020 elections. We knew that the Democrats were spending hundreds of millions of dollars. Their intention was to turn Texas blue. Their intention was to win congressional seats. Their intention was to flip the Texas State House so that they would be the ones that would control our Texas redistricting. But thanks to your efforts, they did not have any success. You came together with your legislative priorities, and I am so proud of what I saw going all across Texas. The efforts that this body put out there to inform, to educate, and to activate people in understanding those incredible legislative priorities that you said were important to you. It's not because of your efforts, it's because of there were some people that did not carry through with the priorities that you laid out. But I know this, that you will continue on with your visions, with your resolve, to make sure that we keep Texas a constitutional, strong, red state, because that's the charge that we have as the Republican Party of Texas. I find it very interesting that today is the 4th of June, because a month from today, we will celebrate the birthday, the founding of the Republican Party of Texas. And if you know our history, when you hear the other side try to denigrate us and demean us, white supremacists and racists and things of that nature, we must go out and inform them in a month from now, on our anniversary day of 1867, that this Republican Party of Texas was founded with 150 black men and 20 white men in Houston, Texas. That's our charge going forward. When I think about the incredible success that we saw across the state of Texas in these municipal level elections, you heard it from our treasurer, Tim O'Hare. It was a year ago in Southlake, Texas, that we implemented a precursor to the critical race theory, the cultural competency action, and Carroll ISD. Those people there made a stand. They understood their courage. They understood their conviction and their commitment. And what did they do? They came together, forming Southlake Families Back, and I was truly honored to be there when they formed that pact. And they won back school board seats by 70% to 30%. They had a 41% turnout in a municipal level election. But most times, if you get 8% of the turnout in a municipal level election, people think that's great. That's the power that we have through this body. The power that you have made yourselves relevant. The power that you have incredibly so presented us and made a stand. To say that you will hold elected officials accountable and responsible because we live in a representative democracy and a constitutional republic, and they're supposed to answer and respond to you and the hard work that you put in so that we can have those majorities down there. I'm so honored to have a friend like Brian Hughes, a man that stands up and does what is right. He is not concerned about everyone else and lobbyists or what have you. We need to have more Brian Hughes down there in Austin. This past week was Memorial Day. And for those of us who have been in ground combat or been in combat, it's a day of reflection. Because we lost, and I lost a couple of soldiers. And I think about, was their sacrifice in vain? Because that's what Memorial Day is supposed to be. Memorial Day is supposed to be honoring their sacrifices. And we now have the opportunity to stand up and honor those sacrifices. Because we must fight and hold on to Texas. The progressive socialist left understands they will never control America unless they control Texas. And the only thing that keeps the progressive socialist left from controlling Texas is a strong constitutional conservative Republican Party of Texas. Each and every one of you must be convicted to hold on to Texas. And that's our mission. That's our challenge for our future generations. I'm wired a little bit different from some of y'all. Because I'll be in the fight. And the front lines is where I need to be. The motto of the British Special Air Services, the SAS, is who dares wins. So I'm going to dare to go back into an arena that can be ugly, an arena where you will get bloody, an arena where you will get dirty, but if you dare, you will win. And I'm going to seek to go out and dare and win for each and every one of you, for the great state of Texas, for your children, for your grandchildren. It's very comfortable to come here and put on a suit and tie and stand before you, but a dirty old soldier like me needs to be on the front lines. And that's where I'm going back to. And I don't think I have to ask permission to go back into the front lines. I never asked permission for 22 years when I served on active duty. I just did it. So God bless you all. Thank you for allowing me to walk beside you for these past months. But the fight is just beginning. But I will continue to fight for this great state of Texas, for this great place that we call home, the United States of America, and for the God that I love and the God that I serve. Thank you so much. Now I want to call up to the stage someone that has really served and sacrificed for the Republican Party of Texas over the past 5 years. That's Mr. Kyle Watson. Kyle, come on. Good push-ups. The Republican Party of Texas, in recognition of meritorious and frugal service, Kyle Watley, Executive Director, 2015 to 2021, the record breaker. Frugal for many of you may not be such honor in this meeting, so I really do appreciate that recognition. Thank you. So as I was driving up here, obviously I was reflecting a lot on having been here for 5 years. First of all, I want to thank Chairman Meckler for giving me the start here, for Chairman Dickey, and of course for Chairman Westford, giving me the honor of taking me and the trust in working with this organization. But for some of you who might not know that my very first meeting in here was September of 2015, and we were debating the booth policy for the convention. And I remember sitting there going, oh, what is going on? And what I learned over time, and what you all taught me over time, is that this is a body. I always refer to the SREC as a body. And the body has a brain, and the body has a heart, right? I kind of equate the brain with being calculation, right? And with the heart being principle. And I'm not saying anybody in here is a 10 or a scarecrow. Everybody's got both, but everybody here kind of leads with one or the other, right? You know who you are. But you need both, right? Without both, the body, the brain and the heart, the body dies, right? You can't have one without the brain. And sometimes those things are in conflict, right? Those conflicts can cause debates, and you know, as a body, you guys debate a lot of these things. But I hope you all remember when you have those debates that you gotta have both, and that you are one body, and you're all a body committed to one purpose, and that is to keeping our states as prosperous and free and as a beacon of hope for the rest of the country, and quite frankly, the future of our country rests in the future of Texas. If we don't stay Republican, we know what that means. So, nothing less than the future of the Republic and this 250-year experiment is in your hands. So, no pressure. But just keep that in mind as you're debating resolutions and some other things that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, all committed to one purpose. And I look forward to continuing to work with you all and in some capacity or another. I hope to see you all again soon and often. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman. And congratulations and good luck. Since the last meeting, I have appointed in Senate District 27, Elizabeth Nelson as County Chair of Falls County. In Senate District 31, Elizabeth Rodriguez as County Chair of Yoakum County. In Senate District 21, Mindy Oster as County Chair of LaSalle County. And in Senate District 28, Ben Poole as County Chair of Sutton County. Are there any objections to confirmation?
Mr. Chairman, I think you may have said 27 for Elizabeth Nelson. She's in 20.
We wrote 27 on this. Good catch. Airborne. Hearing none, yes, ma'am. You recognize? In Senate District 21, Mindy Oster as County Chair of LaSalle County. Welcome. Any objections? Hearing none, Elizabeth Nelson of Falls County, Elizabeth Rodriguez of Yoakum County, Mindy Oster of LaSalle County, and Ben Poole of Sutton County are confirmed as county chairs. The Resolutions Committee has a vacancy. As the nominating authority, I nominate Mr. Steve Atwell. The nomination is subject to confirmation by the SREC. Are there any objections? Hearing none, Mr. Steve Atwell is confirmed to the Resolutions Committee. Ms. Jill Tate, here as a proxy, is a non-SREC member that has been nominated for the Candidate Recruiting Committee. As the nominating authority, I nominate Ms. Jill Tate. The nomination is subject to confirmation by the SREC. Are there any objections? Hearing none, Ms. Jill Tate is nominated to the Candidate Recruiting Committee. I now call upon Mr. Steve Evans, Chairman of the Rules Committee, to present the Rules Committee report. Language that is added will be projected in red and underlined. Language that is deleted will be in red and stricken through. All right, you take checks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Rules Committee met today. Our first item of business was an item of business that was referred to it by this body at the last SREC meeting. That was a bylaw amendment proposed by Sean of the Auxiliary and Coalitions Committee. As many of you remember, we debated it heavily and decided we just couldn't make a decision. So we took it up today. Now we need section E. Section H. Subsection. There you go, right there. It's a recommendation of the Rules Committee that we strike the word auxiliary and insert the word partnership. We also cleaned up the language a little bit. I added Republican Party where it needed to be, added partnership. And a little bit further down, we cleaned up the definition. We'll go back too far, go back up. Section B ended that one. In order to maintain compatibility. Oh, it is A. Back up just a little bit. Yeah, that's it right there. So that's what we're asking to do. Strike auxiliary, insert the word partnership. We talked to the president of TFRW, who confirmed that this would work for them. And the other idea was to not create a whole bunch of different classes in that committee. The auxiliary committee, I believe, is happy with this language. And we'll do adoption.
More information.
There are, there's about 20 or 30 other
My next request from the body would be permission to clean this up once and take care of the fallout of this chip. We have, Virgil and I tried to do it, there's just not enough time. There was 40 or 50 instances that were on, but after this, I will ask Bob to allow us to clean this up before we post it.
Yes, Mr. Gold's recognized.
You're the
That will be part of our cleanup as partnership with replacing auxiliary. The main reason, Tom, is because the word auxiliary is not consistent with TFRW, so we're just trying to migrate over the language there for everybody. So the idea will be to clean up all the language, and there is a definition of auxiliary in partnership would replace that when we go through and clean up the fallout of this change.
What we thought as auxiliaries are now part.
That's it. It's a word change because auxiliary just doesn't.
Push up. Okay, so.
It's on the effect of the bylaw doesn't change. The word that we use to describe that entity does. That's really the effect.
Morning, we're all inside. This is 13. Point of information. Is the part of this change really that first line, not part of the statutory party, is that what the real change is to allow somebody like CFRW to participate?
That's correct.
So it's like, you know what that is.
And this is also consistent with TRCCA, who is not a statutory body, but they're made up of a bunch of statutory.
So this is really the essential change. So other than that, there really isn't change except we're going from auxiliary.
Nothing substantial.
Brandon Kaiser, State Chair for Texas Federation of Republicans. Point of order, or sorry, point of information. With this, would current auxiliaries and coalitions seamlessly transition into partnership?
The idea, I believe, and the chair of auxiliaries, Sean, the chair of auxiliaries can confirm, everybody would stay where they're at now, they would just migrate to a partnership, and the new applications get made for partnership status.
Okay, so we would stay recognized as an auxiliary representatives.
No, you become, the way I understand it, you become a partnership effective with the local spot.
Okay, so but it seamlessly transition into partnership.
There wouldn't be another application status. Pastor Broden could probably help clarify that.
It is a change of the definition from partnership. Those who are auxiliaries now do not have to make another application.
Correct, but we will recognize them as a partnership.
Right, we will recognize them as a partnership. They do not have to start all over.
It is moved on behalf of the Rules Committee that the amendment is projected be adopted. Are you ready for the question? All in favor of the proposed bylaw amendment will vote with their voting pad. Press 1A if you are in favor. Press 2B if you are opposed. Press 3C if you are absent.
Where do we point? Where do we point this thing?
Where's our target? Point to
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, turning two in, I was like, ooh, I promise, guys. Nothing
We're gonna pile on. We're gonna pile on.
She doesn't know she wanted to. Just make sure, Matt. Does Marion know she wanted me? I'm gonna have to find out. Okay.
From Marianne. I want to make sure you
She has a reason for it. I just wouldn't want her to do accidentally.
it looks like about a third of them are not working. We're going to do a manual roll call on all of them. So attention number, we're going to call all of them.
Dr. Charles Blankenship. Jerry Fisher. Stephen Stanley. Prosecutor Janice Hall. David Covey. Yes. Gwen Withrow. Yes. Chris Rowe. Yes. Joe Miller. Proxy Bill Fairbrother. Come back to her. Tom McDonald.
Yes.
Chris McDonald. Yes. Deborah Cummings Pike.
Yes.
Tom Novus.
Yes.
Maggie Witt.
Yes.
Tim Graham George.
Yes.
Andy Eckhart. Steve Atwell.
Yes.
Prosecutor Susan Wright. Warren Noren. Tony Robertson. Kate Scott Otley. Bill Glover. Bill Glover. David Wiley. Bo Elliott. Roy Morales. Proxy for Olga Lasher.
Yes.
Fernando Trevino. Gil Stannard.
Yes.
Laura Garcia.
Yes.
Susan Fountain.
Yes.
Matt Patrick.
Yes.
Becky Green. Sean Sheehan. Dee Sinclair. Proxy for Joe Walls. Dr. Alma Arnoldo Lynch. Frank Logan here. Rich Jones. Carmen Calderon. Naomi Rice. Terry Harper. Debbie Duke. Don Carr. Leslie Thomas. Stephen Roden. Mary Jane Avery. Proxy for Doug Barcroft. Chris Coons. Mark DeRazio.
No.
Marion Stanko. Fred Rangel. Morgan Graham. Carlos Escos. Proxy for Robin Hayes. Steve Evans. Proxy for Robin Cooper. Mark Benham. Dion Starnes. Proxy for Rick Brooks. Debbie Mays. Cheryl Precure. Those who haven't voted, now's your chance. I've got proxy for Bill Fairbrother. Yes. And hold on. Vice Chair Parks.
Yes, sir.
Vote 60 in the affirmative, 1 is no. The amendment is adopted, bylaws for amendments. We'll turn it over to the Rules Committee Chairman, Mr. Evans, for the second proposed bylaw amendment.
Mr. Chairman, before we do that, I move that this body allow myself and Secretary Cruz to clean up the language that we had just, did, this bylaw.
Second.
It is moved and seconded. All those in favor of allowing the Chairman of the Rules Committee and Secretary Bert Cruz to clean up the language that pertains to this bylaw and change, signify by saying aye. Aye. Other than opposed? Carries.
We're going to let the folks take the task and change it up. Mr. Chairman, our second bylaw amendment originated from the Rules Committee. We all went. Amendment of bylaws, what we're asking to do is not change the notice. Requirements for this body to send a bylaw amendment, it would still be regular notice, but you would notice it to the Rules Committee and the Secretary. It would still go out in the call, but the Rules Committee would automatically take it up at the next meeting and report it on the committee report. The bylaw does allow for itself to be suspended, just like the Resolutions Committee can be suspended on the floor. If you flat don't agree with the bylaws or Rules Committee, you can make a motion on the floor and bring it up if you like. What this will do is just the amendment we just voted on. We spent 45 plus minutes at the last meeting arguing about it on the floor, only to kick it over to the Rules Committee to vet further, refine the language and bring it back. So a bylaw amendment, we would notice like normal, and we would immediately take it up as part of our committee report, make sure that all the language and everything works, and find all the things it's going to affect, and present it to the body for vote during the meeting. And this should, with the way we're trying to redraft and clean up the bylaws to present later in the year, or next year, we get to work on, this will let us keep the language that you would like to propose as a change consistent with what we're doing with Chairman Epstein.
It is moved on behalf of the Rules Committee that the amendment as presented be adopted. Yes, Mr. Adams.
Point of information, so just to clarify that one more time, so if it's submitted with timely notice, it's included in the call, the Rules Committee will take it up at that Friday committee meeting, and then Saturday Rules meeting.
That would be the effect of making a motion to commit. In a regular order of business, we would come to order first thing, and we would read those changes and those resolutions, we would read all that, and they would be referred out to committee, and we go, we don't do that. So this would automatically, like a resolution, trigger it straight to the committee, let us work on it. If you had an amendment, we would ask you to come testify, so we could vet that language, so we present something clean to the body, and say that we didn't ask the debate in the words that we want before. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion for an amendment. Probably most of the body is understanding this, but after it says, where it says that a 20% minority report to be filed with the chairman, when we add the chairman of the Rules Committee, that's typically what that minority report, I wouldn't want to lose the mistake. File that with the chairman.
This bylaw will be suspended by the majority or by the filing of the minority report with the Rules Committee chair.
Chairman of the Rules Committee.
Prior to the meeting, by no less than the Rules Committee.
Really?
Motion has been put forward and seconded to add in the language of a minority report with the Rules Committee chairman prior to the meeting of the SREC meeting on no less than 20% of the Rules Committee present and voting on the proposed bill of adoption. So it's an addition of language. Is there any further debate? Yes, Mr. Garcia.
I just want to make sure I understand the language correctly. If a bylaw change is noticed, the Rules Committee takes it on Friday. If I not pass it to the body, can that bylaw amendment still be brought up by the body without the majority suspension of the rule? Or do we need to suspend the rule?
It would take a majority to suspend the rules to bring that up on the floor if you did that. But you gotta have 2/3 to get it through. But if you were to make a motion to suspend the rules to take that up, you would get to debate it. So you still would have the opportunity to debate it in the motion to suspend.
Can I speak on the amendment? I understand, and I know this is not a reflection on the Rules Committee. The chair, I'm sure this Rules Committee is very fair. I appreciated the way they dealt with my bylaw amendment, but I would rather that any Rules Committee amendment that is noticed in a meeting be able to be brought up in regular course by the full body without having to suspend the rules. Again, we don't know what future Rules Committees will do, whether they are the bottlenecks or gatekeepers. Again, it's not a reflection on you. I'm sitting in the Rules Committee, I appreciate the way you deal with it. But just as a matter of openness and transparency, I'm concerned about having the Rules Committee as a gatekeeper rather than allowing a properly noticed bylaws amendment to be taken up by the body without
Yes. It's not germane. Any other debate on the addition of the Language Rules Committee before the chairman? Are you ready for the question? You're voting on the addition of the Language Rules Committee to go into this amendment. Yes.
Point of information. This only takes effect after the 2/3 of the vote happen to allow it, correct?
No, it's out of order. Right now, we're just discussing the addition of these two words. Right now, all we're debating is the addition of these two words into the group. Any further debate on the addition of these two words? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of adding the words Rules Committee, signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any carries? We will add in the language of the minority report with the Rules Committee chairman. Are you ready to vote on the amendment? All in favor of the proposed bylaw amendment? Will vote with their vote passed. All right, witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brandon Moore advises that we may need to reprogram some clickers, and it may be worth it to do it today in case there are a series of votes tomorrow. So we're going to do a test vote. Tell me when you're ready to run the test vote. Everyone put their clickers up and vote however the heck you want, because it's a test vote. And let's put up the names on the screen, and then if you're clicking and you haven't come up, let's go ahead and just form a line here. Just going to take a minute, probably work the time to do that. Step right up if you're not being registered.
Including that time. Okay, all in favor of the proposed bylaw amendment will vote with their voting pad. Press 1A if you are in favor. Press 2B if you are opposed. Press 3C if you are abstaining. Vote now.
Yours didn't register.
Fred, I'm gonna get out of practice. They had a 45 minute.
Mark Durazio is back.
Vote will close at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Voting is now closed. vote is 55 in favor, 6 against, and 2 abstentions. The amendment passed.
Members, I've got one more announcement. I just got a quick question I'd like to ask our show of hands. If we did a Zoom meeting in the interim and just a discussion about the process for electing a chair, the rules around it, how many SREC members would like to be part of that? You don't want to be part of it? Okay. Well, not changing anything, just to discuss the process. That's all we're doing. Education is all. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
Mr. Norris, you're recognized. Please keep your sidebar conversations down.
There will be nothing binding that will come out of that? Oh, no, not at all, just discussion.
Nothing further? Next on the agenda is the officials committee report. The officials committee has had several meetings. We had a meeting this morning and there's also another meeting this afternoon. The big question that we have is, as you heard from Ms. Rachel Hooper, if we can get a proposal back from Houston First to settle this whole thing with Houston First. Key issue about the Houston 2022 convention. If we were to cancel that convention and try to move away, there's about a $620,000 fines that we would have to pay for that. So what we're trying to do is see how we can negotiate with Houston First on the point of strength. And that's what we are waiting on to see what Houston First, outside counsel, and their general counsel will say back to us. But there's nothing further with the convention for 2022 to bring to the body at this time. Any discussion? Is there a motion to adjourn? First of all, next SRSC meeting convenes tomorrow, Saturday, June the 5th, 2021 at 8:45 a.m. Chapel will have services at 7:45 a.m. here. After the adjournment, we will have another short. Got a motion?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we're 1 hour ahead of schedule. My previous motion on the previous officials meeting was to meet at 6:30. May we go ahead and meet immediately thereafter?
Yes, we can immediately thereafter.
Second.
It's so moved and seconded that we will have officials committee meeting immediately thereafter the adjourning of this body. Is there a second for the adjournment? It has been moved and seconded that the body will adjourn until Saturday, June the 5th, 2021 at 8:45 a.m. Time is now 5:29. We will have the officials committee meeting at 5:35.
You want to record?